Bonjour and welcome to Lagniappe with Mon Voyage. My name is Nicole LeBlanc. Thank you for joining me again today. This week I'm going to talk about cruising Europe's rivers with a focus on wine. River cruising, I'm sure you know, has become very popular in recent years. It's almost like having your own floating hotel, being able to explore some of Europe's most interesting cities without ever having to unpack, and you're in the interior of the country, so you're seeing many places you would never get to see on an ocean cruise. Well, some of these cruises operate in some of the best wine growing regions in the world, and I would like to recommend these cruises heartily for your enjoyment. Some of the places you can go would include Germany, where you could cruise on the Rhine and the Moselle. There would be a lot of castles on this route if that's the kind of thing that floats your boat. You can also cruise in Portugal on the Douro River, where you can try some really interesting Portuguese wines, both red and white. Typically, these are made as blends of many different native grapes, so it's lots of wines that you might never have the opportunity to try at home. And of course, any trip to the Douro Valley is not complete without some time in Porto and learning all about port. You'll be able to visit some of the world's most important port houses, both in Porto and up further in the valley. Learn about how port is made. It is a fortified wine, and the scenery in that area is just gorgeous. Porto itself is just a wonderful place to visit for a few days, perhaps before the trip. Spend a few days in Porto and maybe Lisbon at the end, or vice versa. Excuse me. You can also take some fabulous wine cruises in France. Of course, France is one of the world's most respected wine producers. Wine grapes are grown really all over France, and there are several regions where you can take a cruise on these small boats, maximum usually 150 passengers or so. You can cruise the Rhone Valley, perhaps spend some time in Lyon before or after the trip. Really a foodie paradise, I have to say. Quite attached to the land in terms of its food history and local production. You can also, of course, in that area, you can try some of the fantastic red wines, Côte Rôtie, high quality, beautiful Viognier from Condrieu. Farther south, you can cruise, you can explore Provence with, of course, excellent rosé. You can also take a wine cruise in Burgundy and explore Dijon, Beaune with its famous hospice, the site of a really quite chic, important wine auction every year for charity. And of course, the dominant grapes being Chardonnay and Pinot Noir in that region, with some Gamay Noir down in the Beaujolais area. The other region I want to mention for France is Bordeaux. Bordeaux is home to some of the most valuable wine vineyards in the world, mix some of the world's most impressive and collectible wines, which will age beautifully. Bordeaux itself is a lovely, well-preserved, charming city that you might want to spend some time in before or after the trip. You might also want to visit Bilbao in northern Spain. It's not that far from where this Bordeaux wine cruise takes place, and visit the Frank Gehry designed Guggenheim in Bilbao. Perhaps at the other end of the trip, we might add on a land portion for the Loire Valley. It's also not that far north, since you'll already be in France. These cruises are not hosted by just any random tour guide. You will have a wine host on the cruise with you. This wine host is a very knowledgeable person The wine host may be a winemaker from a winery anywhere in the world. The wine host may actually own a winery. The wine host may be a highly credentialed sommelier. In short, the wine host is someone whose knowledge of wine is superior. It is not just someone who is put on the boat and called a wine host and trained just to know something about that trip. This is a person with deep knowledge, and education, of course, is going to be part of your experience on a wine cruise. You'll also have wine dinners, you'll have wine tastings, visits, private visits to cellars. It's really a beautiful experience for anyone who loves wine. Even if you just like wine and don't love it, you'd still love this cruise, but it's of special interest to enophiles, I would say. You can take these trips 7 days. We can add land package on either end. Highly recommended for a beautiful, beautiful time in Europe. They run typically from the spring through the fall. And if you'd like some more information about these wine cruises on Europe's most scenic rivers, please feel free to contact me at my website, monvoyagetravel.com. And I'll see you next week. À la prochaine!